Captain Eleanor Wright looked out the large window of the Earth Defense Force's flagship Defiance. She watched the stars with careful eyes. After 20 years working in space, she thought she had seen everything. She was wrong. A flash of blue, light erupted at the edge of Mars' orbit. When the light faded, a strange ship floated in space. It was unlike any ship humans had built. The outside was smooth and shiny with no visible engines. It glowed with a soft purple light. "Captain, we're getting strange readings from that vessel," said Officer Alan Rodriguez. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "It's not one of ours." Eleanor nodded. Her heart beat faster, but her face stayed calm. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we have made first contact." For decades, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Scientists had sent signals into space, hoping someone would answer. Now, without warning, aliens had arrived. The alien ship belonged to a group called the Zentari Collective. They were a powerful force in the galaxy. They had been watching humans for many years, studying them from afar. Earth's leaders met quickly to decide what to do. They chose Ambassador William Carter to speak for all humans. He had gray hair and a strong handshake. He had spent his life helping countries work together. Now he would try to help Earth join the galaxy. "This is the moment we've prepared for," William told his team as they got ready. "Remember, we represent all of humanity." Earth Command decided the meeting would happen on the space station Harmony. It floated between Earth and Mars, a neutral place where both sides could meet safely. Captain Wright was ordered to take the ambassador to the meeting. She didn't like the plan. Something felt wrong. "We know nothing about them," Eleanor told her second-in-command. "Yet we're walking right up to them with our best diplomat." "Orders are orders, Captain," he replied. The day of the meeting arrived. The Defiance docked with Harmony. Ambassador Carter and his team of 5 people prepared to meet the aliens. Captain Wright and Officer Rodriguez went with them as guards. The Zentari representatives were tall beings with pale blue skin. They had 4 arms and large eyes that changed color as they spoke. They wore robes covered in strange symbols. "On behalf of Earth and all humans, we welcome you," William said with a smile. He held out his hand in greeting. The lead Zentari did not take his hand. Instead, it spoke in perfect English. "We have studied your kind for many cycles," it said. "We have watched your wars. We have seen how you fight among yourselves, how you destroy your own planet." Ambassador Carter's smile faded. "Yes, we have made mistakes, but we have also created art, music, and science. We have grown and learned from our past." The Zentari leader's eyes turned dark red. "You are too unpredictable, too dangerous. The Galactic Council has decided humans cannot join our alliance." William tried to speak again, but the Zentari raised all 4 arms. Hidden doors opened around the room. More aliens entered, holding strange devices. "What's happening?" one of the human team asked. Captain Wright realized the danger first. "It's a trap. Everyone back to the ship." The devices in the aliens' hands began to glow. Suddenly, one of the human team fell to the floor. Then another. "Run!" Eleanor shouted. She pulled out her gun and fired at the nearest Zentari. The alien fell backward. Ambassador Carter stood frozen in shock. Officer Rodriguez grabbed him and pulled him toward the door. "This way!" Rodriguez shouted. The space station rocked with explosions. Red lights flashed and alarms blared. The Zentari were not just trying to kill the humans. They were destroying the entire station. Captain Wright led the way back to where their ship was docked. 3 more members of the Earth team fell as strange energy blasts hit them from behind. "The ship is just ahead," Eleanor called. But when they reached the docking area, they found the Defiance was gone. Emergency protocols had forced the ship to undock when the station began to break apart. "The escape pods," Rodriguez said, pointing down a corridor. They ran as the station broke apart around them. They found one small shuttle still working. The 3 survivors climbed inside. Captain Wright took the controls. As she fired up the engines, an explosion ripped through the wall behind them. Ambassador Carter was thrown forward. A piece of metal pierced his chest. "No!" Rodriguez cried. He tried to help the ambassador, but it was too late. With shaking hands, Eleanor launched the shuttle. They barely cleared the station before it exploded in a massive fireball. "They tried to kill us all," Rodriguez said, his voice hollow with shock. "They came in peace, then tried to murder us." Captain Wright set course for Earth. The small shuttle was damaged and moving slowly. The trip would take days. "Why?" Rodriguez asked as they floated away from the wreckage. "Why would they do this?" Eleanor looked at the stars around them. Somewhere out there was the Zentari homeworld, and beyond that, an entire galaxy full of alien civilizations. Civilizations that had just declared war on humanity. "They're afraid of us," she finally said. "They see us as a threat." "We just wanted to say hello," Rodriguez whispered. "And they responded with violence," Eleanor said. Her shock was turning to anger. "They think we're dangerous? They have no idea." As the small shuttle limped toward Earth, Captain Wright made a promise to herself and to the dead ambassador. The Zentari had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were removing a potential problem. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping, giant humanity would not go quietly. The Zentari and the rest of the galaxy would soon learn what humans did best: survive against all odds. "They'll be coming for Earth next," Rodriguez said after a long silence. Captain Wright nodded. "Then, we better make sure we're ready for them." The Galactic Council chamber was enormous. The ceiling arched high overhead, decorated with moving lights that looked like stars and galaxies. 12 raised platforms formed a circle in the center. Each platform held representatives from a different alien civilization. Ambassador William Carter and Admiral Sofia Garcia walked side by side into this impressive room. Behind them came Captain Eleanor Wright and Lieutenant Commander Jackson Davis. All four wore formal Earth Defense Force uniforms, showing humanity's unity. The aliens watched them with different expressions. Some seemed curious, others hostile. The Zentari High Chancellor sat on the highest platform, his eyes glowing a deep, angry red. "You were not invited here," the High Chancellor said, his voice echoing in the chamber. "Humans were judged too dangerous to join our community." William Carter stepped forward. He had practiced this moment in his mind for months. "We are not here to ask for admission," he said clearly. "We are here to inform you of our existence, and to clarify something your council seems to have misunderstood." A murmur ran through the alien representatives. They were not used to being spoken to this way. "The decision has been made," the High Chancellor insisted. "Your species is too violent, too unpredictable. You would bring chaos to our ordered galaxy." "Admiral," Garcia stepped forward to stand beside Carter. "We did not start this war," she stated, her voice firm and loud enough to echo in the vast hall, "but we have proven we can end it." She nodded to Captain Wright, who pressed a button on a small device she carried. Holographic screens appeared around the chamber, showing images of the battles that had taken place over the past 6 months. The defense of the moon, the capture of Europa 9, other victories by human forces. "You attacked us without warning," Garcia continued. "You tried to eliminate us before we could defend ourselves, but you failed." Another set of images appeared on the screens. These showed Earth's new fleet, thousands of ships being built. In orbit, all equipped with weapons that could threaten even the most advanced council worlds. "This is a threat," the High Chancellor said, standing up in anger. "You dare to threaten the Galactic Council?" Ambassador Carter raised his hand in a calming gesture. "Not a threat, a reality." He stepped forward and extended his open hand, palm up, in a gesture of peace. "Humanity comes with an open hand of friendship," he said. Then he made a fist. "But we are prepared to meet force with force." William looked around the chamber, making eye contact with representatives from each alien race. "This is not a request for admission to your council," he continued. "This is a courtesy notice that we have arrived on the galactic stage." The chamber was silent. Never before had a species judged unworthy spoken to the council this way. Admiral Garcia took over. "We have a simple message for all civilizations represented here. Leave Earth alone. Leave our colonies alone. In return, we will respect your territories." "And if we refuse?" asked a representative from a species that looked like tall, thin insects. Lieutenant Commander Davis stepped forward. Then we continue what the Zentari started, but we finish it. Another set of images appeared on the screens. These showed designs for weapons even more powerful than what humans had already used. Designs based on the most advanced alien technology, but improved by human creativity and desperation. "We don't want war," Ambassador Carter said, his voice softening. "We never did. We wanted to join the galactic community in peace. That option was taken from us, so we created a new option." "What option is that?" asked a small blue alien. "Mutual respect based on mutual strength," Carter replied. The Zentari High Chancellor was fuming. His eyes had turned almost black with rage. "This is outrageous. The Council made its decision. Humans are too dangerous to be allowed to develop further. They will bring destruction to us all." "With respect, High Chancellor," said a voice from another platform. This alien looked somewhat like the Zentari, but with softer features. "The evidence before us suggests humans are only dangerous when threatened. They have shown remarkable restraint in their counterattacks." Carter nodded to the alien who had spoken. "Thank you. That is correct. We could have done much more damage than we did. We specifically limited civilian casualties." The chamber erupted in discussion. Representatives turned to each other, speaking in various languages. The universal translators warned by the humans caught fragments of conversation. "They mastered our quantum technology in months, destroyed a dreadnought with simple missiles, but they didn't target civilian areas when they could have." The High Chancellor raised his hands for silence. When the room quieted, he looked down at the humans with disdain. "You may have won some battles, but the Zentari Collective has conquered hundreds of worlds. Our fleet is the largest in the galaxy. If we commit our full forces, your world will fall." Admiral Garcia smiled coldly. "Are you certain of that, High Chancellor? Your full forces are currently engaged in 3 different border conflicts. Your supply lines are stretched thin, and thanks to your resistance movement, we know exactly where to hit to cause the most damage." This revelation caused another uproar. The High Chancellor looked shocked. He had not known about the resistance providing information to humans. "William," Carter held up his hands. "We don't want to destroy the Zentari. We don't want to destroy anyone. We want to live in peace. But we will not be wiped out quietly." Another council member, a being that seemed made of flowing water inside a transparent suit, spoke up. "Perhaps the council was hasty in its judgment of humans. They have shown both the ability to fight and the wisdom to show restraint. They have also shown they cannot be intimidated," added another alien. "A useful quality in potential allies." The High Chancellor stood up straight, his pride clearly wounded. "You would consider allying with these primitives? They only just discovered space travel. And in 6 months they learned to use our most advanced technology," the liquid alien pointed out. "Imagine what they could contribute as friends rather than enemies." The chamber fell silent. A change was happening in the room. The representatives were beginning to see humans in a new light. The silence was broken by the Zentari High Chancellor. He rose slowly from his seat, his forearms stiff at his sides. "Perhaps," he conceded, his voice tight with suppressed anger, "we have misjudged the humans." As the council chambers erupted in discussion, Lieutenant Commander Davis leaned closer to Captain Wright. "Do you think they understand the message?" he whispered. Wright watched the alien delegates with steel in her eyes. "They better, because if there's one thing humans know how to do, it's survive, and we're here to stay." The Galactic Council debated for hours. The 4 humans stood their ground, answering questions and addressing concerns. By the end, a new resolution was passed. The war between the Zentari and humans would end immediately. Earth would be recognized as a sovereign territory, with the right to colonize uninhabited planets in their local star cluster. A formal apology would be issued for the unprovoked attack on the space station Harmony. It wasn't full acceptance into the galactic community. It wasn't what humans had hoped for when they first looked to the stars with dreams of friendship and cooperation. But it was a start. As they left the council chamber, Admiral Garcia walked alongside Ambassador Carter. "Was it worth it?" she asked quietly. All the death, all the destruction just to get this grudging acceptance? Carter looked thoughtful. We didn't choose this path. It was forced on us. But yes, I believe it was worth it. Not just for what we gained today, but for what we'll build tomorrow. Back on the Defiance, Captain Wright prepared her crew for the return journey to Earth. As the ship's quantum drive charged, she looked out at the massive council station and the diverse alien ships around it. What happens now? Lisa asked as she worked at her station. Now we go home, Eleanor replied. We tell Earth what happened here and we prepare for what comes next. More fighting? Asked another crew member. Eleanor shook her head. Building, learning, growing stronger. The galaxy knows we exist now. They know we can defend ourselves, but they still don't really know who we are. And who are we, Captain? Lisa asked. Eleanor smiled. It wasn't a cold, battle-ready smile like before. It was hopeful. We're explorers at heart, she said, warriors when we need to be. But mostly, we're the species that never gives up. Today we showed them our strength. Tomorrow we'll show them our wisdom, our art, our compassion, all the things that make us human. The Defiance jumped into quantum, space disappearing from the Galactic Council system in a flash of blue light. Word of what had happened spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Humanity had stood before the Council and refused to be dismissed. They had fought the mighty Zentari to a standstill. They had earned, if not friendship, then respect. On Earth, the news was met with celebration and relief. The war wasn't completely over. There would still be skirmishes and tense moments in the years to come. But the immediate threat of extinction was gone. Admiral Garcia stood in the control room under the Rocky Mountains, looking at a new map on the wall. It wasn't just Earth and the solar system anymore. It showed nearby star systems, potential colony worlds, trade routes. The future. Dr. Olivia Matthews joined her, looking at the same map. Not bad for a species that was just fighting for survival 6 months ago, Olivia said. 6 months passed since the battle at the moon. 6 months of hard work, preparation, and smaller fights throughout the solar system. The Zentari had not given up. They sent scout ships and attack groups testing Earth's defenses, looking for weaknesses. But humans had not been idle either. The workshops and laboratories on Earth worked day and night. Scientists studied the wreckage of Zentari ships that crashed on the moon. They learned how alien technology worked and they found ways to use it. Captain Eleanor Wright stood on the bridge of the Defiance and looked out at Earth below. Her ship was no longer just a human vessel. It had been rebuilt and upgraded with reverse-engineered Zentari technology. The hull was stronger. The engines were faster. The weapons were deadlier. Captain, all systems are ready, reported her first officer, a young woman named Lisa Chen. The fleet is assembled and waiting for your orders. Eleanor nodded. She looked around the bridge at her crew. They were the best Earth had to offer. Pilots, engineers, weapons experts, all trained for this mission. This is the moment we've been waiting for, she told them. The moment when humanity stops just defending and starts fighting back. The Defiance was now the flagship of Earth's first interstellar assault fleet. 20 ships, all upgraded with alien technology, all ready to take the battle to the enemy. Admiral Garcia's voice came through the communication system. Captain Wright, is your fleet prepared to jump? Yes, Admiral, all ships report ready. Then you have a green light. Operation Striker is go. Eleanor took a deep breath. This would be the first time humans had traveled beyond their own solar system, and they would be arriving ready for battle. All ships prepare for quantum jump, she ordered. Target coordinates, Europa 9. Europa 9 was a moon orbiting a gas giant in a nearby star system. The Zentari had built an outpost there, a base they were using to launch attacks on Earth. It was the perfect first target for humanity's counterattack. The human fleet engaged their quantum drives, a technology that Dr. Matthews had developed, based on Zentari designs. The ships disappeared from Earth orbit in flashes of blue light. The trip took only minutes. When they reappeared, they were in orbit around a large gas planet. A small moon with an artificial structure on its surface was visible nearby. We made it, Lisa said, her voice filled with awe. We're actually in another star system. Captain Wright had no time for wonder. Battle stations. All ships form up in attack pattern Delta. They believe we're still licking our wounds back home. Tactical surprise is our advantage. The human fleet moved toward the Zentari outpost. Scans showed 5 enemy ships in orbit and a base on the surface with about 300 aliens. They haven't noticed us yet, reported the sensor officer. Their attention is focused inward. I don't think they're expecting company. Eleanor smiled. Let's knock on their door then. All ships target the Zentari vessels. Fire when ready. 20 human ships opened fire at once. Quantum missiles and energy beams struck the unsuspecting Zentari ships. 3 were destroyed immediately. The other 2 tried to raise shields and return fire, but it was too late. All enemy ships neutralized, Lisa reported. The base is sending distress signals. Jam their communications, Eleanor ordered. I want strike teams ready to land. We're not just here to destroy the outpost. We want their data, their technology, anything we can use. As the human ships moved into position around the moon, Eleanor thought about how much had changed in 6 months. Humans were no longer just victims fighting for survival. They were taking the war to the enemy. It felt good. On the Zentari homeworld, deep inside their territory, something unexpected was happening. Ambassador William Carter walked down a corridor, flanked by 2 aliens who were not Zentari. "You're sure this is safe?" he asked his guides. The taller alien nodded. "The High Council doesn't know you're here. The Resistance has friends in many places." William Carter had not died on the space station as Captain Wright believed. He had been captured, taken prisoner by the Zentari. For months he had been kept in isolation, studied and questioned. But then something changed. Aliens who looked like Zentari but with slightly different markings had freed him in a secret raid. They called themselves the Resistance. Not all Zentari support this war, his rescuer had told him. Many of us argued that humans should be welcomed as equals, not exterminated as threats. Now, 6 months later, Carter was deep inside Zentari territory, working with the growing resistance movement. His knowledge of human behavior and diplomacy had proven valuable to the rebels who wanted peace. The leader of the resistance was a female Zentari named Zelana. She was waiting for him in a small room filled with what looked like computer equipment. "Ambassador." She greeted him with the Zentari gesture of respect. "We have located the information you sought." William nodded. "The Central Archive. You're sure we can access it from here?" "Yes, but we must be quick. Security scans this sector every 30 minutes. Together, they worked at the alien computers. Zelana's 4 hands moved quickly over the controls, bypassing security measures and accessing restricted files. "There," she said finally. "The military command protocols, fleet positions, battle plans, everything you need." William connected a small device to the alien computer. It was human technology, designed by Earth scientists for this mission. It downloaded the Zentari data in seconds. "This will save countless lives," he told Zelana, "both human and Zentari." The alien looked at him with her color-changing eyes. They shifted to a deep purple, the Zentari color for hope. "Your species has something mine has forgotten," she said as they finished downloading the critical military intelligence. "You never give up even when logic says you should." An alarm sounded somewhere nearby. Zelana's eyes changed to red. "We must go. Security has detected the breach." They ran from the room, joining other resistance members in the corridor. The information they had stolen would be vital for Earth's defense. But first, they had to escape with it. Back at Europa 9, the human strike teams had secured the Zentari outpost. Captain Wright walked through the alien structure, studying everything she saw. "What have we found?" she asked the team leader. "Their database is intact," the officer reported. "We're downloading it now, and we've captured 5 Zentari alive." Eleanor nodded. "Good. Make sure they're treated well. They're prisoners of war, not test subjects." The team leader looked surprised. "Even after what they did to us?" "Especially after what they did to us," Eleanor replied firmly. "We fight to protect what makes us human. If we become like them, what's the point? The mission at Europa 9 was a complete success. The human fleet destroyed the outpost after taking everything of value. They left a simple message beacon floating in orbit, broadcasting in the Zentari language. This is what happens when you attack Earth. We are not confined to our world anymore. Nowhere in the galaxy is safe for those who threaten humanity. As the fleet prepared to jump back to Earth, Captain Wright received an urgent message from Admiral Garcia. "Captain, we've received a transmission from deep in Zentari space." The Admiral's voice was tense with excitement. "You're not going to believe who it's from." Hours later, when the fleet returned to Earth orbit, Eleanor rushed to Earth Command. She was led to a secure room where Admiral Garcia and other leaders were gathered around a screen. "Is it true?" Eleanor asked as she entered. "Is he alive?" Admiral Garcia nodded. "See for yourself." She turned on the screen. The face that appeared was older, thinner, but unmistakable. Ambassador William Carter. "Ambassador," Eleanor said, her voice thick with emotion. "We thought you were dead." "Not dead, Captain," Carter replied with a tired smile. "Just working behind enemy lines, and I have something you need to see." He held up a small device. "Complete plans for the Zentari fleet. Their positions, their strategies, their weaknesses, and something else even more valuable. The lunar colony was home to 5,000 people. Scientists, miners, engineers, and their families lived in domes and tunnels beneath the moon's surface. They had been there for 15 years, working to build a permanent human presence beyond Earth. Colonel Natalie Rivera was in charge of the moon's defenses. She was a short woman with a strong voice and quick mind. When the news about the Zentari came, she knew the moon would be their first target. "They'll hit us before they go for Earth," she told her team during a meeting in the main command center. "We're exposed, we're smaller, and taking us out will give them a base to launch attacks." Her security team nodded in agreement. They had all thought the same thing. "So what do we do?" asked her second-in-command, Major Paul Green. "We have some defenses, but nothing that can stop a fleet like theirs." Colonel Rivera smiled. It wasn't a happy smile, but one that said she had a plan. "We don't need to stop them," she said. "We just need to surprise them." For the next 2 weeks, the people on the moon worked day and night. They moved most of the colony members to the deepest, safest tunnels. They set up fake bases on the surface, making them look important. And in secret, they built something the Zentari would never expect. On Earth, Command Center Director Frank Wilson sat in a room deep under the Rocky Mountains. The walls were covered in screens showing views from space telescopes and defensive positions around the planet. "The Zentari fleet has passed Jupiter," reported one of his staff. "They'll reach lunar orbit in 6 hours." Frank nodded. He picked up a secure phone and called Admiral Garcia. "It's starting," he said simply. The Admiral's voice was calm. "Are the lunar defenses ready?" Colonel Rivera says yes. Then we wait. The Zentari fleet moved closer to the moon. Their ships were arranged in a perfect formation, showing their discipline and confidence. They had done this before, on other worlds. They would destroy this small outpost, then move on to the main planet. Standard procedure for dealing with dangerous species. In her command center, Colonel Rivera watched the alien ships approach. "All civilians are secured in the deep shelters," Major Green reported. "Defense teams are in position." "And the surprise?" Rivera asked. Green smiled. "Ready and waiting." The Zentari commander sent a message to the lunar colony. It was broadcast on all frequencies, translated into perfect English. "People of Earth's moon base, your species has been judged too dangerous to join the galactic community. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick and painless. Resist, and you will suffer before the end." Colonel Rivera looked at her communications officer. "Send our reply." The officer nodded and pressed a button. The message was short. "Come and get us." The first Zentari ships entered lunar orbit. They started scanning the surface, looking for the best targets. They found what looked like important structures, power plants, air processors, water recyclers, all the things a moon base would need to survive. What they didn't know was that these were empty shells. decoys built to draw their fire. The alien ships opened fire. Energy beams struck the fake structures, destroying them completely. The Zentari were thorough in their attack, making sure nothing remained standing. In the command center, Rivera watched calmly as the fake bases were destroyed. "They're following the exact pattern we predicted," she said. "They're so sure of themselves. They're not even looking for traps." "Should we spring it now?" Major Green asked. The colonel shook her head. "Not yet. Let them come closer. Let them think they've won." After an hour of bombardment, the Zentari commander sent another message. "Your defenses have failed. Your critical systems are destroyed. Surrender now." Colonel Rivera smiled at her team. "They think we're helpless. Time for Operation Hornet's Nest." She picked up a microphone that would transmit to all defense stations hidden across the lunar surface. "This is Colonel Rivera. Operation Hornet's Nest is go. Let them come closer." Across the lunar landscape, hidden doors opened in the gray dust. Missile silos that had been invisible to the Zentari scans rose up. These weapons were loaded with warheads designed by Dr. Matthews and Dr. Petrov. Quantum-tipped missiles using technology the Zentari thought humans were centuries from developing. "Fire," Rivera ordered. The surface of the moon lit up as hundreds of missiles launched at once. The Zentari ships, confident in their victory, had lowered their shields to save power. They never expected an attack from what they thought was a defeated enemy. The first wave of missiles hit the closest ships. The quantum warheads didn't explode like normal weapons. Instead, they created fields that disrupted the atomic bonds holding the ships together. 3 Zentari vessels simply fell apart, breaking into millions of pieces. "Second wave, fire!" Rivera commanded. More missiles streaked upward. The Zentari were frantically raising shields now, but they were confused and disorganized. 5 more. Ships were hit. 2 exploded. 3 drifted dead in space. On the largest Zentari ship, the commander was shouting orders. This was impossible. Humans didn't have this kind of technology. The scans had shown nothing like this. "All ships, retreat and regroup," the commander ordered. "Raise all shields. Return fire on those launch sites." The remaining Zentari ships tried to follow orders, but they were being hit from all sides. The humans had hidden missile launchers everywhere. There was no safe place to go. The aliens returned fire, destroying some of the human missile sites. But for everyone they took out, 3 more opened up in different places. In the Earth Command Center, Frank Wilson and his team watched the battle through telescopes and satellites. No one spoke. They were witnessing something historic. Humanity's first victory against an alien attack. The largest Zentari ship, a dreadnought nearly a mile long, took a direct hit from 10 missiles at once. The quantum field surrounding it pulsed with blue-white energy. Slowly, the massive ship began to break apart, sections of it drifting away from each other. "Send the message," Frank ordered. "Send it now, while they can still receive it." His communications officer nodded. She pressed a series of buttons, sending a pre-recorded message to the Zentari fleet. It was broadcast in their own language, a message they would understand perfectly. "You fired the first shot, we're finishing the fight." On the moon, Colonel Rivera watched as the remaining Zentari ships struggled to escape lunar orbit. Of the 20 ships that had attacked, only 7 were retreating. The others were destroyed or damaged beyond repair. "Should we pursue?" "Major," Green asked. Rivera shook her head. "No. Let them go. Let them run back to their fleet and tell them what happened here. Let them tell the entire galaxy that humans are not as weak as they thought." The 7 surviving ships limped away from the moon, accelerating as they cleared lunar gravity. They were heading back to the main Zentari fleet, which was still making its way through the outer solar system. Major Green looked at the radar screen. "They'll be back, with more ships." "Yes," Rivera agreed. "But now they'll be afraid. And fear makes people stupid." On Earth, Admiral Garcia received the report from the lunar colony. She read it twice, then called an emergency meeting with all project leaders. The moon defense was a success, she told them when they gathered. "The Zentari lost 13 ships. We lost some missile platforms, but no lives. The room erupted in cheers and applause. For the first time since the crisis began, there was hope. Dr. Matthews spoke up when the noise died down. The quantum weapons worked then? Better than expected, the Admiral replied. The Zentari had no defense against them. Lieutenant Commander Davis leaned forward. What happens now? Will they retreat? Admiral Garcia shook her head. No, they'll regroup, adjust their strategy, and come back stronger. But we've bought ourselves time, and we've learned something very important. What's that? Someone asked. They can be beaten, the Admiral said simply. In space, Captain Eleanor Wright received the news aboard her ship, the new Defiance. She had been running battle drills with her crew when the report came in. The moon defenses held, her communications officer told her with a wide smile. They destroyed 13 Zentari ships. Eleanor felt a surge of satisfaction. This was payback for what happened on the space station, for Ambassador Carter and the others who died there. Send my congratulations to Colonel Rivera, she said, and tell the crew to work twice as hard on the drills. The real battle is still coming. The Zentari main fleet received the news of the lunar defeat with shock. This was not how these operations usually went. Primitive species were supposed to be easily overcome. They were not supposed to have weapons that could tear apart advanced starships. The High Commander called an emergency meeting of ship captains. They needed a new plan. These humans were more dangerous than they had believed. The reports had been wrong. We underestimated them, the High Commander admitted to his officers. We will not make that mistake again. Prepare the entire fleet for a full assault on the human homeworld. We will use all our forces, all our weapons. In the darkness of space, the Zentari fleet changed course slightly. Instead of heading straight for Earth, they moved to a position where they could regroup and plan their next attack. The quick victory they had expected was now going to be a real war. And on Earth, humans prepared. The victory at the moon had shown them they could fight back. It had given them hope, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. The damaged shuttle carrying Captain Eleanor Wright and Officer Alan Rodriguez finally reached Earth after 6 long days. Their small craft was running on backup power by the time Earth's defense ships found them. Both were weak from limited food and water, but they were alive, and they carried vital information. Earth's leaders gathered in the United Nations building in New York City. The room was tense and quiet as Eleanor told her story. She showed them the recordings of what happened on the space station Harmony. The images of the Zentari attacking Ambassador Carter and his team shocked everyone. They meant to kill all of us, Eleanor said. Her voice was steady but tired. They see us as a threat that needs to be removed. Why would advanced aliens see us as a threat? Asked the delegate from Japan. Our technology is far behind theirs. Admiral Sofia Garcia stood up. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and a face lined from years of tough decisions. Because they fear what we might become, she said. They look at our history, our wars, our rapid progress, and they see a younger version of themselves. Reports were coming in from deep space, telescopes. A large group of alien ships was moving toward Earth. The Zentari were not waiting. They were coming to finish what they started. Admiral Garcia used a remote to turn on a large screen. It showed the approaching alien fleet. There were at least 50 ships, all larger than anything humans had built. This attack force will reach Earth in 3 months, she said. Her eyes swept across the room. We have 3 months to prepare for the greatest fight in human history. Someone in the back of the room laughed without humor. Fight with what? Their ships can cross the stars, ours can barely reach Mars. Admiral Garcia nodded. Yes, they have better ships, better weapons. But we have something they don't expect. She paused, making sure everyone was listening. Desperation, creativity, and the greatest minds on the planet working together for once. The world leaders talked through the night. By morning, a plan was forming. For the first time in human history, all countries would work together. Old enemies would become allies. There was no more room for old fights when the entire human race was at risk. They called it the Global Defense Initiative. All military forces would join under one command. All scientific research would focus on defense. All resources would go toward preparing for the coming battle. Dr. Olivia Matthews was eating breakfast in her small apartment when the call came. She was the leading expert on quantum physics at Stanford University. Her research was trying to find new ways to travel in space using the strange rules of quantum mechanics. Dr. Matthews, this is Admiral Garcia of the Global Defense Initiative, said the voice on the phone. Your country needs you. 12 hours later, Olivia was on a plane to a secret base in the Rocky Mountains. There she met scientists from around the world, including her longtime academic rival, Dr. Viktor Petrov from Russia. Dr. Matthews, Victor said with a small nod. They had argued for years in scientific journals. It seems we will now work together. Olivia looked around at the massive laboratory built inside the mountain. It seems we will. Admiral Garcia explained their task. We need weapons that can hurt the Zentari ships. We need shields that can stop their attacks, and we need it all in 3 months. Dr. Matthews shook her head. That's impossible. This kind of research takes years. We don't have years, the Admiral replied. We have whatever time it takes for those ships to reach us, make the impossible happen. Across the world, similar scenes played out. The best minds in every field were called to service. Some worked on weapons, others on shields. Some focused on understanding the Zentari from the limited information available. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Davis was a former Marine who had fought in conflicts across the Earth. He had scars on his face and more that couldn't be seen. Now he found himself at a training facility in Arizona, looking at the strangest group of soldiers he had ever seen. This is who I have to work with, he asked the officer who had brought him there. The best from every military on Earth. The officer replied. Special forces, pilots, technicians, strategists, you name it. Jackson looked at the group again. There were people from countries that had been enemies for generations, standing side by side. And they're supposed to fight together? These people have been trained to kill each other. Now they'll be trained to kill Zentari, the officer said. That's your job. Jackson sighed. He walked to the front of the room and held up his hand for quiet. My name is Lieutenant Commander Davis, he began. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what uniform you wore before. From now on, you fight for Earth, all of Earth. He pointed to a large screen showing the approaching Zentari fleet. Those ships will be here in less than 3 months. The aliens on those ships think they know what humans are capable of. They've studied our wars, our violence. They think they understand us. Jackson smiled, but there was no warmth in it. They've only seen us fighting each other. They have no idea what we become when we fight together. Days turned into weeks. The scientists worked without stopping. Dr. Matthews and Dr. Petrov made a breakthrough with the Nova Drive, a new kind of weapon that used quantum fields to disrupt the structure of matter itself. It works in the lab, Olivia told Admiral Garcia, but we've never tested it at full scale. Will it hurt their ships? The Admiral asked. In theory, it should tear them apart at the atomic level. Then build it. Lieutenant Commander Davis pushed his international team to their limits and beyond. They trained day and night, learning to work together, learning to trust each other. Again, Jackson shouted as they ran through another drill. The Zentari won't wait for you to catch your breath. All around the world, factories worked at full speed. Regular people did their part too. Farmers grew extra food. Hospitals prepared for casualties. Children sent letters to the soldiers, training to protect them. Captain Eleanor Wright was given a new ship, an upgraded version of the Defiance. It was built with some of the new technology the scientists were developing. It would be the flagship of Earth's defense fleet. It's not as big as the Zentari ships, the engineer told her as he showed her around. But it's fast, and it has teeth. Eleanor ran her hand along the smooth wall of the bridge. It will do. 2 months after the attack on the space station, Admiral Garcia called a meeting of all the project leaders. The room was filled with tired faces. Everyone had been working nonstop. The Zentari fleet will reach the edge of our solar system in 2 weeks, she said. It's time for a progress report. One by one, the leaders stood and reported. The news was mixed. Some projects were working. Others had failed. They had weapons, but not as many as they wanted. They had shields, but they didn't know if they would hold. It's not enough, one of the military generals said. We need more time. Time is the one thing we don't have, Admiral Garcia replied. She looked at the faces around the table. This is what we have. This is what we fight with. She stood up straight, her eyes moving from person to person. The Zentari think they're coming to finish a simple job. They think we'll be easy to remove. But they're about to learn something important about humans. The room was quiet, waiting. We don't go down without a fight. And we never, ever give up. As the meeting ended, Dr. Matthews caught up with Admiral Garcia in the hallway. Admiral, there's something you should know, she said in a low voice. About the Nova drive. Is there a problem? Garcia asked. No, it works. But it's more powerful than we expected. Much more powerful. The Admiral looked at her closely. How powerful? Olivia took a deep breath. If we're right, one Nova weapon could destroy an entire Zentari battle group. For the first time in months, Admiral Garcia smiled. Good. Then they're about to learn another thing about humans. What's that? Olivia asked. We're full of surprises.